Let's come to Surah Yusuf for a few lessons from it. In the beginning, Allah says, Alif Lam Ra. And again, I'm only going to highlight what I think is relevant to the study of temptation, or some reflections on temptation. Allah says, Alif Lam Ra. Alif Lam Ra are letters that the Prophet ﷺ has no way of knowing, because he was ummi. إذا كان عربيا لعرف كيف قل قال شيئا الفاظ. He would know real words. Alif Lam Ra are not words an Arab would know unless they're learning the alphabet. So if you knew the Prophet ﷺ, you knew him your whole life, you would know that he does not know how to read and write. One day he comes out of his house and he says to you, Alif Lam Ra. You'd be like, wait, you're learning to read? Who's teaching you? It would immediately create the question, somebody must be teaching him. Because this is not something he knows on his own. So when that question is created, the answer is given immediately. Tilka ayatul kitabil mubin. Those are the miraculous signs of the book that is clear and it clarifies. And here another thing I want to highlight. First of all, the messenger has a higher teacher, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is higher education. The second thing I want to highlight is the meanings of the word mubin. The book is clear in and of itself, but it also clarifies. It's lazim and muta'addid. It's clear in and of itself, and it also clarifies other things. In other words, when you study this book, you'll find its teachings to be clear. But when you study this book, it'll also start clarifying how you should deal with a situation, how you should be thinking, how you should be reacting, how you can better your relationships, etc. And then Allah says, "Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyyan la'allakum ta'qilun." Just one highlight here. That Allah highlights that we sent it down as an Arabic recital. As an Arabic recital. Why is that important to highlight? Allah is making a point to note that everything He says in this Quran, every word that He says is perfect. And you cannot replace it with another word. The Arabic Allah chose. First of all, Allah chose this language among all the other languages. But within Arabic, there is 50 times more vocabulary available in Arabic than is used in the Quran. The Quran actually uses very little Arabic vocabulary. It doesn't use the entire library of Arabic. Arabic vocabulary is much, much, much bigger than the Quran. So Allah chose the most pristine, perfect words of the Arabic language to communicate His message. The best of those words, the ones that are best suited to communicate what He wants to communicate, He chose. So no word is an accident. And I know you believe that, but it's going to come into play later on. Every word is there for a very, very particular reason. And so when we're going to extrapolate and try to understand some of the teachings of this book, and some of its wisdom, we have to respect the fact that when Allah chooses a word, He knows what He's doing. He chose that word, and there's no other word that could do a better job than the one He chose. So sometimes, for example, there's a lot of, mashallah, Arab brothers and sisters in the audience, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ فيقول مفسر تفسير تأويل الأحلام أحاديث بمعنى الأحلام. كيف؟ So some people say that, Yaqub alayhi salam told his son Yusuf, Allah will teach you the interpretation. Literally says al-hadith, all kinds of speech. Literally says all kinds of speech. But we want to see the rest of the story and we see that he interpreted dreams, yes? So they say what he means by speech here is what? Dreams. But if he wanted to say dreams, he would have said dreams. He said all kinds of speech. So let's respect that. Allah chose that word and He chose it for a reason. These are the things I want to highlight to you. These are the things that get overlooked in translation, right? So now let's begin. Allah says He's going to tell the best of all stories. أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن. We're going to tell you the best of all stories within what we have inspired to you. Now look at the word wahi. أوحى. قال في الآية السابقة إنا أنزلناه لا أوحينا إليك أنزلناه قرآنا. We sent it down as a Quran. But now He's saying He inspired. That's how they translate wahi, is as inspiration, right? Or revelation. But let me tell you something about wahi. أوحى يعني أشار إليه في الخفي. To secretly point to somebody and give them a hint. A subtle hint. Like for example, you and your friend are sitting in a really boring party and you can't tell him, man, this is really boring. We need to get out of here, and your phone has already died so you can't text it. So you go with your eyes, but not too much. You can't go, because it's too obvious. That would be wahi. Wahi means a very subtle hint. Very subtle hint. One of the dimensions of understanding the Quran is Allah gives very subtle hints. He teaches us things, you have to study it carefully, because when you study it carefully, there's some hints and clues in there that make you go, oh, I got you. That's what it makes you go. وَإِن كُنْتَ مِن قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Even though much before this you used to be from those who were unaware. Now, the use of the word unaware is powerful here, because it's being used for the Prophet ﷺ, and the obvious meaning is that he had no idea what the Quran was. That's the obvious meaning. But there's something else. Allah will give him hints. Allah will give him isharat. Allah will give him clues that someone who could not have figured this stuff out on their own, they would never have even known. You know, there are people who pick up on small things. Since there are younger people here, of course, you guys don't watch TV or anything, but I'm still going to give you a TV reference. You know, like, there are detective shows. You have like a Sherlock type show or whatever. And these people pick out things that nobody else sees, yes? So everybody else sees a table, he sees a crime scene or something. You know what I'm saying? So that he's got a special eye for it. Everybody else is ghafil. Everybody else is not paying attention, basically. They don't have the skills to pay attention. What Allah is saying is that through His Word, through the Quran, now we're able to pay attention to things that otherwise we would never pay attention to. We would have been ghafil. We wouldn't have even thought it was a big deal. But because of it, because of this wahi, we are no longer ghafil. We actually pay attention and we don't overlook certain things that Allah made us look at. The other implication here that's very important is that without this Quran, without this conversation, the things I'm going to talk to you about are not going to be a big deal. Because without this, even the Prophet ﷺ would not have known, وَإِن كُنْتَ مِن قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Even he would not have picked up on certain things, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, had it not been for the Quran. So you and me are out of the question. If we don't have this discussion, even the Muslims, we're not going to be sensitive to certain things that we are supposed to be sensitive to. That is the point that's being made here. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam has a dream. Everybody knows what that dream is. I'm not going to dive too deep into that subject, but I will give you some things. He comes to his dad, and he starts telling him a dream. Old man or young man, Yusuf alayhi salam?
Young.
Yusuf alayhi salam, old man? Really? MashaAllah, the Islamic knowledge at PHA is remarkable. Yusuf alayhi salam, old man or young man?
Young man.
Actually, none of those. He's a boy. So, I got you. Okay, so, he's a boy, and he comes to his, fill in the blank, he comes to his father. Okay, and he tells him okay, wonderful. A young boy comes to his father to tell him a dream. How many fathers in the audience? Fathers. Very good. How many of you young boys have come to you to tell you a dream? Cool. Very few. Very few. But it's the thing of beauty. You know what that means? Your boy is comfortable with you. He likes to talk to you. He trusts you. He knows you're not going to yell at him or tell him you ate too many candies at night. That's why you saw that dream or something. There's a relationship between a father and a son that is so comfortable that this boy is able to go up to his dad and tell him even a dream. And the dad says, yeah, it's okay. No, he actually listens to him carefully. Now he says, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا. I saw 11 stars. I saw 11 stars. And then he says, وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. And I saw the sun and the moon. Now the verb is I saw, رَأَيْتُ, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ. But he emphasized it by saying inni, as though I'm telling you that's what I really saw. Because he's in shock about what he saw. So he uses the word inni. And then he highlights that he saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon, but by the time he got to that part, he's so much more in shock that he had to start his sentence over again. You know a child, when they're nervous, they don't finish a sentence? What happened on the playground? I was playing, and then he came and I was playing? What happened after you were playing? Tell me what happened. I'm getting to that. Hold on a second. I was playing. When a child is nervous, they repeat themselves. The beauty of the Quran. إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ رَأَيْتُهُمْ التَّكْرَارُ فَلِمَ التَّكْرَارُ. This child is repeating himself. I saw them. I really did see them. لِي سَاجِدِينَ لِي مُقَدَّمْ. This is actually, لِلْإِخْتِصَاص وَلِلتَّعَجُّبْ. To me, they were doing sajda. They were prostrating, putting their heads down before me. Wait, the sun and the moon don't have a head. How do you see a sun do sajda? Who can draw that for me? and start looking like a banana or something. I don't know, what are you going to do? How does the sun and the moon do sajda? How do stars do sajda? And the remarkable thing about the Arabic, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. The remarkable thing about the Arabic is, لم يقل رأيتهن لي ساجدين أو رأيتها لي ساجدين. قال رأيتهم لي ساجدين. الضمير المستعمل للعاقل لا لغير العاقل. The pronoun that's used here is the one that's used for things that have intellect. Human beings, jinns, angels. In other words, as he is talking, you can already tell that this boy knows it ain't really the sun, and it ain't really the moon, and it ain't really stars. It's actually people. And you can tell that from the Arabic of the ayah. But when you read the English translation, it says, I saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon, I saw them prostrating before me. That's all it says, I saw them. But there's different words for them in Arabic. One of those words refers to people, one of those words refers to stuff. The sun and the moon and the stars are stuff, but he sees them as people. You know what that means? He's already figured it out. That's what bothers him. That's why he's bothered. And it makes total sense. And that's why the word sajideen, al-jam'a kadhalik, sajidina, is not used for creatures. It's not used for non-inanimate. It would have been sajida or sajidat. It's sajideen. You know, jam'a mu'annath salim. That's used for al-aqil, for the one that possesses intellect. So this boy's figured it out. He's really smart. He's figured out the dream. What does the dad say? وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ. He says, first of all, لَا تَقْصُصْ رُؤْيَاكَ عَلَى إِخْوَتِكَ. The dad's figured it out too. The dads, don't tell your brothers this dream. They're going to scheme against you. فَيَكِيدُ لَكَ كَيْدًا. Once he gives him that, that's not our story today. We're not going to talk about temptation. This is all part of that. He says, that is how your master has chosen you. Allah has chosen you. You're a special boy. You've got some special intellect. You have something special in you that Allah has chosen you for. Now pay attention to the word يَجْتَبِيكَ. بَدَلًا مِنْ أَنْ يَقُولَ يَصْطَفِيكَ أو يَخْتَارَكَ. That also would have translated, your master has chosen you, or that is how your master has chosen you. There's different words for choice in the Quran. But when he says يَجْتَبِيكَ, الْإِجْتِبَاء, it comes from jabwa. And jabwa in Arabic is to make a choice based on some special qualities. Like, I'll give you a simple example. When you are going to fix a car, right? And you have to pick, let's say you have to pick, transmission fluid. You're not going to put antifreeze where transmission fluid goes. You're going to pick the right bottle. When you pick the right bottle, you just did ijtiba. This bottle for that job. When you're going to tighten a screw, and it's a flat, it's not a Phillips. You pick up a flat screwdriver because that's the right tool for the job. This is ijtiba. When you hire the right kind of accountant for your company, that's ijtiba, because he's the right guy for that job. You understand? So when someone's qualified for a job, that is called ijtiba. When he says, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ, Yusuf alayhi salam is being told by his father Yaqub alayhi salam, that you have some special skills that Allah has chosen you for. And from this one conversation, what seems to be the special skill? His intelligence to interpret even the most difficult to interpret things. He can figure things out quickly. Now he says, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. He will teach you of the interpretation of all kinds of speech. Now I'm going to move on. All kinds of speech, not all kinds of dreams. He will interpret dreams. But now you have to pay attention because Allah said a hadith. You know what that means then? Yusuf alayhi salam is going to interpret not just dreams, other things too. If it was just dreams, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحْلَامِ. But if it's all kinds of speech, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. Allah will divinely inspire Yusuf alayhi salam to be able to pick out, little things that people say or little things that people do. By the way, speech, al-ahadith, it comes from hadath, which means an event also. An event. An event that you talk about becomes hadith. That's what makes it different from kalam. In other words, not only will Yusuf alayhi salam interpret speech, he will also be able to understand situations. He'll be able to understand situations. Sometimes people communicate without saying anything. You realize this, yes? And sometimes you can tell what people mean. They use some words, but they mean other words. For example, when you go home late and your wife says, "Wa alaikum assalam," that means you are dead. You understand? But it means, literally, if you translate it, it means upon you be peace. But what it really means is rest in peace. Right? So But you can't tell that from the words, you have to tell that from the way something is being said, yes? So there's more to speech than just words. You have to understand the situation, the annotations, how someone is talking, what their tone is, their personality. There's a lot of psychology involved here. And basically, Yusuf alayhi salam is going to be a pretty expert psychologist. He's going to be able to figure out what people are saying, what's coming out of their mouth, and what's really going on in their head. That's going to be part of the genius of Yusuf alayhi salam. Now,